what's going on, you guys? This is Kevin with G.F.E, God, Family, and Everything Else podcast. I have another one that I want to go ahead and share with you from the series Bigger Than the Game, and who we want to go ahead and highlight today. Her name is Katelyn Pavey. I came across this article actually today while I was scrolling through the internet, and this is about a one-armed, unstoppable young lady where she plays softball, and she didn't limit being one-armed at all. She didn't let that stop her. She continued with her passion. So I want to go ahead and share this story with you because we can learn a lot from this, especially in our day-to-day lives and whatever sports and passions that we may have. And then also just shows you how amazing God is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. As I said, One Arm, Unstoppable Faith, the inspiring true story of Katelyn Pavey. And let's see. As you can see, that's her right there. Yep. All right. Okay, so it says, an inspiring Christian film reveals how a girl with just one arm was truly can hit it out of the park with faith, determination, and grit. I Can is a new Christian movie about a girl, Katelyn Pavey, who was born with one arm. Pavey and her parents were initially hesitant to make the movie because of their tumultuous past. I was conceived out of wedlock due to an affair, said Pavey in an interview with CBN. Both my parents were married previously, and then when they got together, they had me. So Pavey's parents, Eric and Selena, decided to keep the baby and try and make a life together work. When Pavey was born with just one fully functioning arm, they considered that God might be punishing them. And I have something to say about that after this. So it looks like they go ahead and made a movie about it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this here. And you know what? I'm going to have to check this out too, because there's lately a lot of Christian films have been, stepping up their game a lot. I don't know if just the funding or whatever, but a lot of the Christian films that are coming out now are really cool. There's still a few that I really want to check out, but let's go ahead and check this out.
I think I found the best play I've seen in a long time.
Wait, is this the girl with one arm?
We did not bring her into this world the right way. She shouldn't come out the right way.
Let's call it what it was, an affair.
You have an incredible gift from God.
You think God is punishing you for what we did through our daughter's arm.
People already look at me differently. Why didn't God stop that?
I know lately it feels like you've been on a losing streak. Maybe all of us, huh?
You can't keep living your life like God is punishing you.
You carry so much burden on your shoulders that you clearly can't handle.
Look around and see how much God, He's blessed you.
God don't make mistakes. He's got a plan in all of this. He always does.
So I Can, and that's really cool. My favorite part in that trailer right there is the last thing that it looks like it was her grandmother, where she said God doesn't make mistakes. The reason why that's one of my favorite things is that is something that I would always tell my son, and I still do to this day, that I tell my son whenever he's struggling with something or if he's having a hard time trying to learn something, I try to encourage him to let him know that, hey, God had given you the ability. It may take you longer than some other people, but just understand this. God doesn't make mistakes. So I want him to understand that God is always going to be with him regardless of whatever the situation may be, how hard it is, to always understand that God made him in his image, and that God is always going to be there for him. So that really hit me whenever I saw that part where it said God doesn't make mistakes. Let's go ahead and continue with the article. It says, Eric's mother, Pavey's grandma, reminded her often that God doesn't make mistakes, like I mentioned. Growing up, I faced a lot of adversity, she said. I faced a lot of challenges that I had to overcome and adapt to. While life wasn't easy, learning to do everything with one arm and hand, Pavey found a love for the game of baseball. You continue to adapt to any adversity of your own that you're thrown in life, and you overcome that. You become successful. You don't go back to your old ways. You don't give up. You keep pushing on to be successful, to show people that you can. And that's just what I did my whole life, especially through the sport of softball. Pavey played baseball, but often came up against roadblocks from coaches saying that they didn't want the drama. I'm hearing the same thing from college coaches. Man, you have great skills. I would love to have you on my team, but, and there was always a but, I don't know how to coach a girl with one arm, or I don't know how my players will react to having a teammate with one arm. If your team can't handle a player with one arm, then they're not mature enough to be even playing that sport, to be honest with you. I'm sure you guys know the player that used to be on the Seattle Seahawks. It was two brothers. One of the brothers didn't have a hand, and he was selected. I think he was selected as an undrafted free agent, but he was selected. He got to play, and he played his butt off the time that was given to him, and he didn't let his hand or lack thereof make it a setback for him. He went out there and he balled hard, and the coach and all the players supported him. So, and I know they're grown men, and we're talking about young students here because a lot of young students are very immature. But again, if you're going to play a sport and you see somebody that you want to say is different, then you're not mature enough to accept them as a teammate, in my opinion. So with perseverance and faith, Pavey kept working towards her goal until she gained a college scholarship to play softball in Cincinnati Christian University. The one-armed softball champ is hoping that this film inspires others to run after the goal God places in people's hearts, whatever it might be. God doesn't make mistakes, she said, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from. God has a purpose for your life, and he made you in his perfect image. Amen. So let's go ahead and pull scripture up, what I wanted to go ahead and show you all. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start off with John 9:2. First thing that came to my mind, right, because, you know, they were talking about saying that God is punishing them maybe because of the affair that they had, and so their daughter was born with one arm, so that was God's way of getting back at them, which I want to disagree with that. But let's just be honest, though, right? We all have defects. We'll say that. We all have defects. Some people have to wear glasses. Some people have one arm shorter than the other. Some people lose their hair. Me. Some people have defects. We'll just say everyone does. And why is that? To be perfectly honest, it's the result of sin. The original sin from the beginning. From our original parents, Adam and Eve. From sinning and disobeying God, we are all affected by original sin. So God didn't intend for all of us to look like this, or to be sick, or be angry, or to kill each other, all of that. That's opposite of what God is. But sin is what affected all of us. And so if you want to be real and be honest, that's what happened. But also God's glory does shine through our shortcomings. And the first that came to my mind was in the book of John. I remember when they came across that man that was blind, and the disciples asked Jesus this question: is this man being punished because of his parents' sin? And this is the verse I wanted to pull up for you. And in John 9:2 it says, and his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that was born blind? Jesus answered, it was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me. While it is day, night is coming, when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. So the man was born blind, but then you can see the glory of God through this man being born blind, because God can use any one of us for his glory to do wonderful things, to inspire other people, and to bring other people into faith. So some might want to question, be like, well, that's just kind of messed up, to being born blind and all that. I've always had an issue with people questioning God's judgment or God's abilities or what God's created. The reason being is because who are we to say what is morally right, what is wrong, and all that, right? We didn't create ourselves. We didn't create any of this. And it just always bothers me when people want to point the finger at God. Things happen, and it's sad. It's terrible. But again, we should understand and put our faith and trust in God and use his glory for use our struggles for his glory. I'll say that. So when we sit there and say, God, why do you allow evil and all that stuff? Why don't we rewind and look at how did evil enter this world? How did defects into this world? How did disabled people enter into this world is because of the original sin, but no one wants to look at that. They just want to point the finger and not want to be self-accountable. But let's go ahead and continue moving on. So the other verse I wanted to pull up also is in Exodus 4:10. This was where God instructed Moses to go ahead and this is what you need to do to free my people because my people are crying out for help. So I'm going to send you to do the work that I need to be done. But Moses, he had a disability. He had trouble with speech, with words and things like that. So he kept trying to plead with God, saying, don't use me, use somebody else, because I'm slow at speech, God. I think you chose the wrong person. So I wanted to read that verse here, and that's again in Exodus 4:10. And it says, "But Moses said to the Lord, Oh, my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant. But I am slow at speech and of tongue." And I want to say that I feel like I'm a little bit like that as well. But I will leave what I'm doing in God's hands, that hopefully that these videos blesses other people and also holds me accountable, as long as I'm doing it to honor and glorify God. That's all that matters. Then the Lord said to him, Who has made a man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. But he said, Oh, my Lord, please send someone else. Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth, and you shall be as God to him. And take in your hand this staff with which you shall do the signs. So it's like God's sitting there telling him, he's like, trust me, I'm going to be there with you. Don't worry about it. You sit there and are limiting yourself, but don't you realize who I am? I am going to be there with you. Don't you understand? But Moses yet again was like, no, choose someone else. And I could just imagine God going like, Moses, understand this. I'm going to be there with you. But what I'm going to go ahead and do, since you want to be so stubborn, I'm going to have your brother come, and then he's going to speak for you. So I'm going to be with you both, and you're both going to do the works and signs and wonders that I am going to instruct you to perform while you were down there. Don't worry about it. So when I see something like this is also encouraging, because God doesn't make mistakes. We want to limit God's ability for some reason for our shortcomings and don't have faith enough in God to lead us through. But if you look at Katelyn, she was in this situation. She was down and out sometimes because of the pushback she received from some of her friends or family or some people in school.
Text message received.
Just got a message from my son's on his way home. And so she was down and out, and she was just trying to figure out, like, why did God allow this to happen? Why does he let people look at me this way and everything? But she didn't stay down. She put her faith in God, and then she persevered. She pushed through, and then she was able to, make a movie out of this, and then also inspire other people that God doesn't make mistakes. And lastly, what I wanted to go ahead and put on here is another good one. Now, we want to sit there and think that, okay, God, all right, I'm born with one arm. What is this? God, I'm born blind. What is this? God, I don't have any hair. What is this? And all that. But we don't understand. Whatever God makes is perfect. Whatever God makes is good. In our eyes, we don't think that because we compare ourselves to other people. But when God sees us, he makes us, he sees us, and we are wonderfully made in his image. And if you check out Genesis 1:31, it says, And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. That's all that matters. And then having faith in God to get through whatever your life challenges may be, as long as we bring honor and glory to him. So I wanted to go ahead and just give a shout out to Katelyn and make another Bigger Than the Game episode for her. And let's just go ahead and continue praying that she continues to give God honor and the glory through this. And whatever struggles that you may be going through, just remember that God made you perfect in his image. And to put your faith and trust whatever struggles that you may have. All right? So I will catch you guys in the next Bigger Than the Game episode. This is G.F.E, God, Family, and Everything Else podcast. Remember, if you want life, choose Christ. God bless. Peace.